Hello, my name's Stuart, unrepentant atheist. I've got another Islam conversion story for you. It's Andrew Tate. But before that, I'm going to preface each of these videos with a mistake of the day from the Quran. So from Surah 21, verse 33, I'll just read the translation. And he it is who created night and day, and the sun and the moon. They float, each in an orbit. Obviously, in those days, they didn't have the benefit of modern science, and it appeared that the moon and the sun both orbited the earth. A common belief from those days is being repeated in the Quran. I would have thought if a God wrote the Quran, he would have made it quite clear that the sun is at the center of the solar system, and that the earth orbits the sun, and that the moon orbits the earth. But in this case, the sun and the moon are being equivocated, and it says they float each in an orbit. It's quite clear that whoever wrote the Quran believed, as in fact virtually everybody else did in those days, that the sun was at the center and that the moon and sun both orbited around the earth. Okay, so that's mistake of the day. For the Quran, let's move on. So Andrew Tate, his brother Tristan, I've previously done a video on them. So Tristan apparently is a Christian. Andrew Tate converted to Islam. I believe they're both in Romania, they're not allowed to leave the country. They are being kept in the country on pending a trial for human trafficking and various other offences. The British police also want them, and there's some extradition proceedings going on. They're trying to get them back to the UK. There have been allegations that they've been keeping women against their will and sexually abusing them. That has got to be tried in court, so those are allegations. I'm not saying that those are proven and that they did those things, that they're just allegations. They've made a lot of money out of a Canberra Girls site, a lot of money. I believe they've both been in kickboxing, they've been influencers. So, okay, let's move on and hear what Andrew Tate has got to say about his journey into Islam.
Planet. When I talk about Islam, because I'm new to it, I'm a little bit careful, right? Because
yes, you have to be careful with Islam. If you say one wrong thing, I mean, it's not just that, oh, you don't know anything about Islam, you don't know what you're talking about. No, there could be much more serious repercussions for you. As we all know, we've seen what's happened. Although somehow in Andrew Tate's case, I think that even extremists would allow him some flexibility with what he says, because after all, he's just started out on this journey.
New to it. I'm certainly not a scholar. There's so much I need to learn. I know I'm on a learning journey. I'm not here to sit here and talk scripture. I don't know those things yet. I'm here to learn. Yeah.
But and we're here at your assistance.
Thank you.
Well, why don't you just say why you think that Islam is true? That's why I'm listening to you.
Bro, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. But it's just, for me, it feels like the last religion on earth. I feel
okay, well, this is the problem. This is the problem with a lot of converts. It's not that they use critical thinking. It's not that they analyzed evidence to decide that a religion is true. It's because they have a feeling about something. He feels that it's the last religion on earth. Okay, I know what he means. It's in the Abrahamic religions, we had Judaism, Christianity, and then we've got Islam. But he's got this feeling that it's the right religion because it's the last of the Abrahamic tradition. It's just a feeling. Doesn't seem he's done much thinking about it.
Like there's no other religion. People say to me, why did you convert? And I said, I don't really feel it as a conversion. It's almost like I knew God was real and now I've become religious.
Okay. How did you know that God was real? That's what I'm really interested. I hope he's going to say something about this, because at the moment, all he's talking about is a feeling.
They say, well, you were religious before. I was like, religious before how? Christian? What does Christian mean? Like, who's not a Christian? You go to Christian Nation.
I'm not a Christian. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. And I don't believe that Jesus is God incarnate or the resurrection or any of that or anything supernatural at all from any religion. So I'm not a Christian.
And everyone says they're a Christian. Look how they live their lives. Go into the average church. Is anyone?
Look at how Christians live their lives. Well, Christianity is quite a diverse group. They're spread out throughout the world. Islam is also quite a diverse group. There are more liberal Muslims. There are more fundamentalist Muslims, as we know. And I would think that he could also grant that to Christianity, that it's not just one group who all live their lives in exactly the same way. So he's guilty of generalization here.
actually fearful of God? Anybody? No, the girls are out on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I've been into congregations and I've found Christians who are fearful of God. They're scared about what's going to happen to them after they die. They're also scared about transgressing God's moral laws. So yeah, I've met Christians like that. Others are a bit more sort of carefree. So again, it's a very diverse group that he's generalizing about.
Saturday night drinking, and then they turn up to church because their parents made them. Like there's,
Well, there may well be some young people who... I haven't seen any teenagers in church who are there because parents have made them go to church. I've seen much younger children who are taken along to church and then go into Sunday school. But I've seen very, very few young people in church. Some of the churches I've been to, the average age is like sort of 70 years old. I've seen very, very few young people at all. There are more young people in the university campus. They have churches there which are geared to young people. And from what I've seen when I was at university, that group was actually very devout. They were more actually devout than I've seen in local parish congregations, those sort of born again students. So he just keeps generalizing and generalizing. It's like everybody in Christianity is exactly the same. Nobody's afraid of God. They're headed towards hedonism because they can go out and enjoy themselves, and they can just get forgiveness from Jesus before they die, so they can do more or less anything they want. He's just generalizing and generalizing all the time. I try to avoid doing that with all religious groups and non-religious groups.
there's no substance to the religion, and also Islam.
Well, what does he mean there's no substance to the religion? I mean, I don't think there's any substance to any religion, in the sense that I don't think that any of the religions have met their burden of proof. So I would say there's no substance to any religion. But in the sense that he's probably talking about, well, you've got the Ten Commandments, you've got the Sermon on the Mount, Christians have got their own morality, and there are penalties for that if you don't follow the morality and believe in the religion, and the penalty for that will be eternal damnation. So I don't really quite agree with what he's saying there.
Very closely reflects my personal beliefs. Through my personal life, I've learned that if you don't have standards and you're not a strong person who's prepared to defend his ideas, you will be crushed.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you can have standards and you can be prepared to defend your ideas. And yes, you can be crushed, but that doesn't mean to say that you need a God. All you need is self-respect, integrity, and the ability to speak up for yourself and analyze critically without the shackles of a dogma telling you what is true. You need to have you need to start from a position of as little bias as possible. And if you already believe in a religion which hasn't been proven, that's going to be really difficult.
And we look at most religions in the world today which are not prepared to defend their ideas. What's happened to them? They're just getting crushed. And now we have Christianity.
Well, from what I've seen, all the religions I've looked at, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity in particular, and of course Islam, they are prepared to defend their ideas. Go onto YouTube and have a look around. Enlighten yourself, Andrew Tate.
As an idea which has basically said, well, we can't set any firm rules because everyone will just quit. So instead, let's make it so easy to be a Christian that nobody has to put any effort in.
Yeah.
And then,
well, again, he's generalizing. There are different Christian groups. The group that I've been along to occasionally, they are sort of coming up to date, and they're starting to accept women priests, homosexuals, marrying. They're starting to do that. But there are splinter groups who've broken away because they're not happy. So you can pick and choose. If you want a more liberal, progressive type of Christianity, you can have that. If you want more fundamentalist, old school, you can have that as well.
and accept everybody no matter what, and hopefully we can keep the church doors open. That's not God to me, you know?
Yeah, well, this is why a lot of people are actually switching to Islam, because it accommodates their bigotry. That's why. They hate trans, they hate homosexuals, they hate anything that doesn't conform to their religion and to their bigotry. So Islam is the natural choice because it's stuck to its bigoted guns, as it were, and Christianity is trying to sort of come up to date and become more progressive and to move with liberal times. So I can see why some people, bigoted people, are going for Islam, definitely.
Yeah. God to me is strong. God to me is something to be feared.
Yeah.
God to me is someone that people are afraid to mock.
Yeah, but how do you know God exists?
Yeah.
God to me is someone that you have to go out of your way to prove something to. God to me has red lines.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, this is the great thing about not having a God, because I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I've got my own red lines. I've got my own morality, which is basically, obviously, based on social norms, etc. And I don't really feel like I need any God to help me in my life. And obviously, Andrew Tate does feel that he needs a terror figure there. He needs a big daddy figure in order to make him scared. Because if you think that somebody is looking down on you, it will terrify you into doing the right thing. I think that if you've got a good secular moral system anyway, and you've got good standards as a person based on mutual respect for other people, then you'll behave well anyway. You don't need this sky daddy to terrify you with threats of eternal damnation and punishment in order to be a good person. But if Andrew Tate needs that, I'd much rather he stays in the religion and maybe learn something about how to treat people, because obviously what's been alleged about him with the abuse and the trafficking and everything, I hope that he'll change his ways. And if the religion helps him to do that, then he should stay in it, definitely.
God to me represents the Islamic faith. The Christian God to me, I don't see God. I can't explain. I don't see anything there. So to me, it was the only logical.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Christians will say the same thing. They say, "Oh, Islam's false because of this, because of that." You know, no, it's not Allah, it's Yahweh, or it's Jesus, and he's just pleading for his own brand of religion. He can't prove it any more than Christians can prove it.
Choice in the end. And this is why perhaps I found God the way I did, because I understood all these things first.
Well, how did you find God? How do you know that God's there? You're not giving us any evidence.
And then I saw the Quran, and it confirmed so many things for me, you know, like even the conversation.
Well, what did it confirm? It confirmed to you, if you read it properly, started with the scientific error to begin with. All it confirms is that the sun orbits and the moon orbits. And no, well, we know that the sun does not orbit the earth. So I think that he should really study hard and go and look at all the scientific errors in the Quran, and that will tell him that a God could not possibly have had any part in this book.
Conversations I've been having so far, so many things have been confirmed, and it's amazing the knowledge that's inside of it, which is so applicable.
Well, what's been confirmed? What exactly has been confirmed? He's not being specific. I've looked at Islamic claims, and this has been confirmed. Oh, this prophecy, that prophecy. Everything's so vague, and frankly, I'm not impressed with anything any more than I'm impressed with any prophecy that's come out of Christianity. Christians will say, oh, the state of Israel was going to come back. It was prophesied in the Bible that there would be, the Zionists and everything. And that's all happened because we've got a state of Israel. Therefore, the Bible's true. And Muslims will say, well, Muhammad said that we were going to conquer, Persia and these other countries. And lo and behold, it happened. Therefore, Islam's true. So, all the religions cancel each other out with all their claims.
Today for an old book, right? It's supposed to be old, but it seems so timeless. But it's truly amazing. But you're totally right. And the baseline morality, I don't think most people understand that when they're doing this under the guise of tolerance, when they're saying be so tolerant that you no longer believe in right from wrong, they're not doing that to make.
Well, nobody's saying that you should be so tolerant that you no longer believe in right and wrong. What people are saying is that there's a very diverse group, that humans are very diverse species, and we have to make allowances for the fact that there are different types of lifestyles, and as long as everything is consensual and mutual and nobody's being harmed, then we should be tolerant, obviously to a certain point. But that doesn't mean to say that we accept there's no right and no wrong. So he's being an apologist for his own religion, and he's presenting all these straw men in support of his own religion. There's just straw men and generalizations.
Society a better place. They're doing that to empty your brain so that you have no resistance to the slave mind programming. They want to get you to a point where...
Okay, well, now we're on to conspiracy theories, that Christianity is the exact religion to prime people so that they'll believe whatever you tell them.
If they tell you the sky is green,
Yeah.
you look at with your own eyes
Yeah.
and you see blue, but no, the sky is green. That's what they want. So that you have to have nothing in your brain that can prevent that. If you have God, if you have no, I believe this is right and wrong.
Yeah.
If
No. In order to determine the truth of a claim, what you need is not a God which hasn't been proven. What you need to do is have the ability to think critically, gather evidence, and evaluate the evidence. If I look at the sky, somebody tells me that it's green, I look at it at the moment, it's light gray. I'll say, well, at the moment it's light gray. Tonight it will probably be black. When the sun is shining, it will most likely be blue. And you analyze the evidence. You don't need a God for that. Belief in a God has not actually resulted in any good, any of the scientific theories that we've got today, the theory of evolution, relativity, Newton's laws, etc., etc., etc. That's all been done from a secular standpoint. Okay, I know that Newton was a Christian, but the work that he did was purely secular. He did not have to appeal to the Bible for his 3 laws of motion, for example. It's all science. God isn't needed for that.
If you have personal responsibility, if you have self-accountability, if you're a person who sticks up for what he believes, all that's bad to them. They want all of that gone so they can.
Yeah, well, I don't know who he's talking about. He's on a conspiracy mindset here. Everything that he's talking about, thinking for yourself, evaluating evidence, knowing the difference between right and wrong, having morals, that can all be done in a secular way. God isn't necessary for that.
I can tell you the sky is green. Some people recognize when I convert to Islam that there was a time I was an atheist. There was a time when I was atheistic. And the reason I am now so absolutely certain that God is real is because I've seen
Okay, how? What? Okay, no, he's going to say, good.
evil. I've seen shaitan. I've seen it. When you see enough.
Okay, so his reason for believing that God is real is because he's seen evil. Well, I've seen evil in the world, but I don't see that as evidence for the existence of God. And he's not really explaining why there being bad things that happen in the world and people that do bad things is evidence for the existence of God. That's not really, that's not confirming it for me.
Enough evil, you realize that there must be an equal and opposite force. And there are people.
Okay. Well, okay. So there are good things that happen in the world. There are people that do good things. There are people that do bad things. And so there are good things and there are bad things happening. So the forces are there. There are forces for good and there are forces for bad things. But there's nothing supernatural about it.
People out there in the world.
Because he's implying that there's some kind of supernatural force behind the evil that's going on. And if he could demonstrate that there's some kind of supernatural force for the evil that's going on, then at least we would know there's a supernatural. And he might want to say, well, there must then be a supernatural force for good. But first he's got to demonstrate there's anything supernatural going on behind everything that's happening in the world, good and bad. And he hasn't.
World today doing the work of the devil, genuine demons who are trying to destroy the baseline morality that's
how does he know the devil exists? How does he know demons exist? He hasn't demonstrated any
inside of all of us. We're all born with some kind of morality and they're trying to destroy it.
No, we're not. Well, okay, another claim, we're born with some kind of morality. No, we learn morality as we grow up. It's part of the socialization process. He's got no evidence that we're born with any morality, or at least he hasn't presented it.
It's actually the Islamic understanding that we believe that you're born with something called fitra.
One guy.
Well, that's just a belief. And where's your evidence for it?
Talking to since my conversion says it's interesting that somebody with everything, all the Western world, everything somebody could want, has now converted. And I said, yeah, because even before my conversion,
No, it's not strange, because you know what happens when people get lots of money? They get a ton of money, and they think, right, what's the next feather in my cap? Religion. The biggest ego trip there is. No, it's not surprising at all to me that immensely rich people, famous people, turn to religion because they need something else to fill their egos.
Understood that hedonism is a black hole and you can never fill it. You're never going to be able to have enough girls to be happy with girls.
Okay, so he's going to extremes again. He's creating straw men. Nobody's claiming that if you have all the beautiful women in the world and if you have all the money in the world that you'll be eternally happy and that you'll never have any wants or any needs. But he's creating a straw man, because who is actually claiming that? Even secular people don't make that claim.
be able to have enough money to be happy with money. You're never
Yeah,
gonna be able to, you know, drink enough to be happy with drinking. Like, it's a black hole, and you can pour endless things down it, but you'll never fill it up. And you need to have some degree of self-restraint. And I've always been a very disciplined person. I've never made mistakes, but.
Okay, well, Andrew Tate there, for me, didn't really present anything approaching good reasons for believing in the that Islam is actually true. He's got presuppositions like evil is done by the devil. There is a devil, which is a supernatural entity. There are demons, and therefore, if there's a devil, there must be a God. So he's starting from a bad place. First, he needs to prove that anything supernatural exists at all. He hasn't done that, but I don't really think he's not really interested in doing that. The religion seems to support his bigotry, his transphobia, and his misogyny. And I think probably that is the biggest factor in why he and a lot of other people like him find Islam so attractive. It keeps women in their place. It keeps homosexuals, lesbians, gays, trans people suppressed. And therefore, it's the religion for him. It's not compromising on those principles. That is probably why, in fact, we see so many people converting to Islam, because it supports their bigotry. Not because it's true or because there's any good reason to believe that it is true. Thanks a lot for watching. Look forward to your comments. Bye for now.